What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode with AB Investments. Sorry, guys. It's been a crazy day today. Besides fasting, I was remodeling the whole kitchen. And unfortunately, I was going to do a live, and I was literally like probably um, like like few clicks away from doing the live earlier to tell you guys what you need to know. But unfortunately, the people that I was working with at the kitchen made a huge mess. So I had to stop and I had to deal with it. And I'm just literally now getting done. My hookah, my coffee. I broke my fast like about 30 minutes late, and AB is literally not feeling well at all. I'm so under everything, and I don't know honestly how in the next 30 to 40 minutes I was gonna do a live now, but I still also have to go to the prayer, the night prayer, um, to do tarawih. So um, you know, it's all good. It's all good. God is great. So that's the point of it, is to struggle and work hard and sacrifice, so that you can feel greater and hopefully get more deeds and rewards, because God can see everything that you go through, and the hardships, including the fact that you're also abstaining from food and water and everything, and fasting, obviously. But anyways, basically, have no fear, guys. AB is here. So we've seen today a very crazy pullback, and I was just now getting ready to look at it, um, to see the how the market closed and everything. And I have a very good explanation for you guys. One thing, remember we were talking about, we still are fine. Remember I told you that there's a that I gave you two possibilities a few lives ago, and I said that we could either come down, they could try to send us down, and we could test the the $20, and the worst level is the $18 level. If you guys have been subscribed to this channel, you would have known that. If not, please go ahead and do so. And please also like the video so we can push it out to more and more people, so that we can have no confusion out there. And I've just realized right now when I was looking that there isn't too many YouTubers coming out to explain this, and I'm very shocked. But then again, I already know, because majority of the YouTubers are reporters. The market is something different. It's just because of the hype and the need for the plays that we're in. So they see a lot of interest. So a lot of people does it. Anyways, I'm not taking any shots at anyone. But AB is here to explain to you what you're looking at. Okay. So they couldn't drop us to the $20 level, so that it could be easier for them tomorrow to get us down to the 18 and the 17 and the 16. Okay. So which means we're still hitting that bottom. I mean, this is, if believe it or not, if you're looking at the TA levels and the charts and everything, I can make you feel so much better, and tell you that if you're looking at those levels, you could easily see that this is getting tighter and tighter of a parabolic, like a slingshot. This is getting tighter and tighter. I mean, if this thing didn't drop yesterday and today to this point, and let's say it had its healthy pull up as we were expecting, because somebody had to do a lot of covering from last week. That's let alone the many FTDs that are not delivered. Guess what? That only resulted in them trying to bring the price down even more today and not deliver anything. You see it in the volume, and you've seen it in the whole market, by the way, not just in AMC or GameStop or any of those. I mean, poor Ater. Ater was primed, even in the pre-market. I was up in the pre-market, and Ater was primed for a major squeeze. If you were up in the pre-market, you would have seen that. The volume was there. It was very volatile. They couldn't do nothing in the pre-market. It was up till about 18 to 20% in the pre-market. And obviously when the market opened, they did their thing and everything. Now, here's the thing. This is getting tighter and tighter of like a reversal, and it's going to be more like a slingshot effect. It's not going to be a small rebound or a slight rebound. This looks like it's going to be very violent. Now, I'm going to tell you guys about the whole market as a whole, okay? I'm going to tell you something very important. But one second, let me take this puff, because AB needs it. Okay. So, so the reason why you see these markets like this is because today we actually seen something that is very, very, very scary, and I've been warning this to you guys for the longest. Some people have been warning, so I'm not the only one. I know that, but this is really important, guys. Today we've seen an influx in the percentage of the bonds, you know, the long-term bonds and the short-term bonds. And what happened officially today is that the long-term bonds are actually their rates are much less, almost 0.5% less than the short-term bonds, and this creates a big problem. And I will tell you what this indicates too, according to history. So this indicates a big thing normally, and you'll see how this also like affects you and benefits you at the same time. This gives you a this is going to give you a big picture, guys, about what's the upcoming events. Okay, so normally big institutions and financial institutions, they normally go ahead and get these bonds, and they get short-term bonds at the lower, like the way that it's supposed to be is that the lower and the shorter bonds should be obviously with less rates. And normally when they get those, they go ahead and lend those out on long terms, so like 10-year rates and all that stuff, bonds, to someone else for higher rates. Okay, so that's how lending works. Now I just mentioned something to you. When officially now the long-term bonds are less than the short-term bonds, it makes it impossible for lending to happen anymore because it's not profitable anymore. Who's gonna borrow or go ahead and lend bonds at whatever rate, at a short-term rate, and try to since it's now higher, and go ahead and also lend it out to someone else for a higher rate? No one, because everyone is already jumping to the common sense move, which is they're all dumping their money on long-term yields and long-term bonds, which is 10 years and above, because that signifies what to you? Since lending is no longer profitable, no one is going to get something short term that is going to be costing them more to try to relend it to someone else for less. So lending starts getting less and less because no one is going to profit from it. At the end of the day, when people do this, they do it just so they can profit. And when it's no longer profitable, what happens after that? That signifies a recession. Normally, the last known one was 2020. 6 months before the recession in 2020, when the pandemic happened, that's when we had this situation, similar setup, similar situation, is toward the middle of 2019, when the inverse of the rates happened and the long term were more expensive, were less, and the short term were more expensive. So therefore, nobody's lending, is borrowing, or everybody wants to borrow, but no one wants to lend because they're not going to profit out of it. So what does this signify? Two things. One, recession coming up soon, possibly within the next 6 months. Probably it normally has 6 months to about 22 months. So yeah, you're like, wow, from 6 months to 2 years. But the scary part, guys, is that every time this happened, a recession followed. So you got to know that this is very, 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 very scary and crazy, in other words. And you could take that literally to the bank. Even though, again, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. You could go ahead and do your own due diligence, DD, whatever you want, and do all that stuff. I'm just giving you things that you have to keep in the back of your head. It's not just the stock. You got to look at the whole picture. Look at all the all the players involved, and you see. Now it brings us to one more thing. Remember I said two things? The second thing was, we said the first one was it signifies that there is a big recession coming, and a huge recession that is. The second thing is when the people that are borrowing, now this is how this ties up to our stocks, okay, to us. Now we can narrow down the picture, okay, and we can use the microscope on this picture, on this part. Now that we narrowed down the picture, how does this affect us? Now we know that the people or the entities that we're going up against, the only way that they're been able to do what they're doing is by obviously getting help and borrowing from other entities, other institutions, or the main man, which is the feds, right? Well, when the profits are no longer there in lending, these guys are gonna very soon get their lending stopped. Like, it's gonna no more. I'm not lending you anything anymore. Okay? When these guys don't get the money they need, what happens? Everything falls loose. Your stock, whether AMC, GME, tlry, bbig, the whole market will have an inverse, a slingshot look-alike that will result really right after that into a major crash. Now, what is the only thing that has been prolonging that? Excuse me. The only thing that has been prolonging that is the feds paying repo and reverse repo operations every day. And guess what? That's not going to do much because, again, as they're raising the hikes, it's becoming less and less profitable to go ahead and do those repo and reverse repo. And like for financial institutions, like I'm going to give you even a bit better example so you can even take it on less terms, guys. I always would love to break things down so that everybody here on our channel is always very, very, very knowledgeable about everything and know it exactly and understand it exactly, not just me giving you big terms or whatever. I'm just want to explain the process. So imagine JP Morgan right now is one of those financial institutions that goes ahead and borrows money from the Fed or does those loans, doesn't matter what terms and what years and how long. When they get that money, they go ahead and that's when they get approached by the Citadels, the other smaller hedge funds, the Melvins and whatever, and they give them those loans. Now, when JP Morgan is going to start getting those loans from the feds, but they're going to have higher yields on them, guess what happens? They're not going to go ahead and take that. They themselves are not going to go ahead and take that at whatever rate it is at and try to lend it to these other smaller, like the hedge funds, the Citadels, the other hedge funds. And on top of that, because they're not going to make any profit out of it. Because remember in the diagram I drew for you guys that the broker goes to the market maker. Broker makes money from payment for order flow. So that's why they do what they do. Then the market maker needs to make his money and he goes to financial institutions to get his money, his loans, so that he can do all his effery that he does in, on the market to all of us. Now, the institutions go to the Fed and at the same time they borrow from the Feds and they re-lend that money out to the market maker. How do they make money? When they borrow from the Feds for a lower interest rate, they lend that money to the market maker or other financial institutions like market hedge funds, and they get those money, like they get that money, like the hedge funds, from the financial institutions like those banks like JP Morgan, and JP Morgan charges them an extra interest, so that way he makes his money too. And then the Feds is the ultimate source of money. So what happens with them is that when JP Morgan comes back to fulfill the reverse repo operation and give them back the money, they ultimately, the Feds make their hike, that whatever rate they lent to JP Morgan. JP Morgan makes his money from lending to the market maker and the other hedge funds, because when they fulfill their loan back to him, they got to pay back the interest rate that he puts on them. So you see how everybody makes money in this diagram, except, of course, us. What we get out of this whole thing is a delay. But since this whole diagram is breaking apart because the Feds are lending at a higher rate, and you see the hikes are getting higher and higher, right? Then the financial institution, forget the market maker and the broker, leave those guys on the side. The middle guys, these banks, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, all of those guys, these guys are no longer going to go to the Fed and say, hey, I want to do a repo and reverse repo with you. The Fed's going to be like, why not? I'm loving this diagram. We've been making a lot of money for over a year now. Both of us, like good old times. Well, the banks are saying, well, I can't borrow from you at this rate because I can't re-lend it out there at a higher rate to these other guys because they can't afford that, because they can easily themselves go ahead and invest in 10-year bonds. And what that does is it sucks out a lot of liquidity from the short-term market liquidity. You know, the liquidity in the short term and in the market, because everybody is taking money and they want to be in a tax, they want to be not in tax, sorry, they want to be in a safe haven. And the safe haven is the 10-year bonds. So they buy into that and they dump their money into that. So they make, they secure their money there. They'd rather have that than having it out here losing money and getting inflated. So again, guys, hopefully you understand all this. What does all that mean? Now, I'm pretty sure you got the picture, and I'm pretty sure you understand what all this means to us. It's only a matter of time, guys, before these guys default on all these things, and next thing you know, we have a huge recession on our hands. It's a matter of time. Please, guys, if you don't understand anything I said, or if you don't understand some of the things I said, put it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to even dive deeper into it for you guys. In another video or any of that stuff, if you would like. I even, like I said, the diagram I broke down to you on how we are getting screwed on a daily basis. You remember the whole conspiracy that I gave you through the dark pool and everything? This is how this applies to that. If all this makes sense to you, well, I'm very happy that I was able to shed some light onto somebody else other than myself. If it doesn't, hey, you know, not everyone is just correct, or not everyone is wrong at all times. So hopefully this made sense to you guys. Again, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. If you like the content, please go ahead and like it so that we can send it out to more and more people. Sorry guys, I'm very, you could see it on my face, like I'm so exhausted. I'm only on 2 hours sleep and I've been working crazy, including the fasting, and I gotta go and pull a really long night into praying. So I will be praying for all of us. I'll be praying for all of you guys, and hopefully may God also be on our side, and I know he is, and hopefully we get our attendees very soon. So again, guys, AB Investments, and much love.